Wonderful.
Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Denise Simpson. I am here with my beautiful friend, Laura Wall. Give us just a second or two while I get us streaming in multiple groups. So give us just a second. Here we are. Beautiful. Where are our aligners? The Align365 group. I want to see you all in here. So let me go ahead and find you and get you ready. See here. And then I'm going to introduce you to my beautiful friend, Laura Wall. Oops. Okay, Facebook, what's happening here?
Facebook was not playing nice with me this morning, so.
Let's see here. Who's here? Jamie's here. Hi. She
Hey,
writes,
Jamie.
I am so excited. Yes, the party can start. Jamie is here now. Awesome. All right, let's get started. First of all, thank you all so much for tuning in. This is the season finale. I know, right? Season finale.
Do you have a drum roll?
Of Align365. This is season 2, by the way, everyone. This is our 12th show. So excited for that. Yay! Jamie says she's so excited. Thank you. We have had some amazing thought leaders come on our show to talk about how to find alignment in their fields of expertise. And today I have Laura Wall, who's another amazing thought leader in her space. And yes, she is, and she's now my dear friend. I mean, she doesn't know it yet, but I'm part of her family now. I might be moving in soon. I'm not sure yet. But I want to introduce you to Laura, and then we've got a lot of really great stuff to talk about today because Laura is going to talk to us about nourishment and how that correlates to alignment with our highest purpose. So it's important that we understand this, and who else can explain this better but Laura. Laura is amazing, and she has certifications in coaching, in personal training, and in nutrition, and she's also an intuitive healer. And she has a very unique way of looking at the person as a whole person. So she takes into consideration their mind, their body, their heart, and their soul. She's not only a coach, she's a speaker and a teacher. And she helps empower women to live out their divine potential, to embrace their truth, to wield their superpowers because we have them. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And more importantly, to chase their joy. I love that word, joy. And so thank you, Laura, for accepting our invitation to come on our show today. So everyone, give us some love. Give us some engagement. Tell us if you're here. We want to hear from you. Jamie's popped on. She says, yep, I'm here. She's excited. And I want to start by asking Laura about your alignment, your journey to alignment, how you found that and how you help your clients find alignment.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Denise. I feel like we are in divine alignment. We barely met, had breakfast, and then it was just a click, right? Mm-hmm. And here we are. So thank you so much for having me on and sharing your people with me and me with your people. My journey, like a lot of people, started in kind of a mess, right? There was a chronic depression I had through teen years, through 20s, through 30s, through the practice husband. And I kind of had to come to a big crash, which was around about 2010. And from there, I realized that I just wasn't happy. I was chronically unhappy, and I was just at my wit's end. I was trying to fight my way out of it. And, there was part of me that wanted to give in and be depressed all the time, but there was part of me that just knew there was something better. And I kind of ran away from home for a little while. This is not what I'm advocating for my clients, though. This is not part of the program. And I was fortunate enough to have a very loving and supportive husband who allowed me the time and space to figure out what it was. And it was really in that time where I was able to stop and go and be by what I consider to be a happy place, to be near water, that I was able to kind of dialogue with my higher power and asked for guidance. And that really started to kind of shift my mind and realize that I wasn't living within my joy, that I was doing a lot of shoulds, that I was doing a lot of people pleasing, that all of that was giving me so much chronic stress, that I was developing health problems. And I came back from that, self-imposed non-vacation. It wasn't super fun when you're wrestling with those things. But I came back and I decided that I was going to implement a few things. And as I did, I started going back to something that I loved, which was dancing. And I rediscovered my joy. It had been hiding so long that I didn't even know when it bubbled up. It was familiar and yet foreign at the same time. From there, I became a fitness instructor. And as I was teaching fitness, I realized I wanted something longer term because you can't bounce around on your knees too long, as a lot of runners will tell you. So I started looking at strength training. It had been something that I'd done earlier in my life, and it had given me a lot of internal strength. It made me feel very confident. So I became a personal trainer, and I feel like that was the other beginning part of my alignment was I started to see people differently. I realized they were trusting me with their health and with their bodies and with their minds and their time and a lot of times with their hearts, because our coaching sessions might have started around biceps or quads or that type of thing, but they usually would reveal so much of themselves to me. And I wanted to help them more. So I knew that what we were doing in the gym wasn't quite enough, and I knew that nutrition was a huge piece of it. And this was many years ago when nutrition wasn't really at the forefront of our conversations like it is now. So I became a certified nutrition coach through a company called Precision Nutrition, and I became a client of theirs, and I became, I received the information as well as delivered the information. So I was kind of learning, and then I mentored under one of their coaches. And I tell you what, having that guidance from someone who's already been there and then that was helping to develop you made all the difference. And it made me realize that, the people in front of me weren't just bodies that needed to have biceps, and they weren't bodies that needed good food, but they really needed so much more. They needed compassion. They needed someone to listen to them. They needed someone to help them look at their process. And so I started to integrate more of a spiritual practice into my training. And sometimes that was just that I would pray for my client on the way to the appointment. Other times I would ask them if I could pray with them when we got done. And it just started to change and shift at that point. I realized that I was dealing with so much more than just a body. And that's part of my message to my clients is you're so much more than a body. That's just a container.
That's beautiful, Laura. Thank you for sharing your journey with us, especially when we talk about chronic depression. And it's something that we do a really good job hiding. That's something that in my family, and I have suffered from it. And it takes someone like Laura to help see our amazing spirit, not just this physical body. And so you are so special. I'm so happy that you are sharing your wisdom with us. And so if you all are watching, will you please give us some love, give us some hearts? We're gonna dive into some takeaways here. And you all know we're here. We combine theory and practice here, so we want to give you some practical strategies here that you can implement right away. I mean, that's my philosophy. That's how I coach. And those of you watching, take out a pen and paper because Laura is about to drop some bombs on us. She's about to share. And let's go into the conversation of nourishment. You talked about your certifications in nutrition and in personal training, and yes, in the spiritual healing as well. So seeing them, in this holistic approach. So talk to us a little bit about nourishment and why is that important for us to really understand and to grasp so that we can then connect with or align with our highest purpose.
Well, I've studied the chakras. I've studied Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it kind of goes to that. So for me, what I like to teach people about is the four sources of nourishment, which is a very simplified version. So the four sources are body nourishment, So that includes movement, that includes nutrition, that includes hydration, that includes good rest, mental or mind nourishment. So again, that means doing things that stimulate you, whether they are a hobby, whether it's play, whether it's some sort of creative pursuit. Then there is spiritual nourishment. We all need to reconnect to our source, to our God, to our higher power. That is a nourishment that we can get in no other place. And when it fills us up, we're really empowered. And then heart nourishment. We were not designed to be alone. The message of our society a lot of times is pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you've got to be independent and you've got to be fierce. But really, we were made to be in community with others. We were made to have heart-to-heart connections with others, not just family, not just a romantic partner, but many, many people. So when we have those types of connections, that we are fed at a heart level. So if we have nourishment in all four of those areas, then we feel great and we feel supported. We feel ready to go to the next level. So if you think about it kind of like in caveman terms, if they didn't have fire and shelter and safety, they are not going to think about going out in the moonlight and having some sort of ritual and praying to God, because their people need to be fed. Their people need to be safe. You can't work on the higher things unless you get some ground support. You can't, if you're not feeling satisfied in your work, again, you may not feel ready to go on to the next level, which means starting a business or leading others. So again, each thing kind of layers on each other. So some of my people may not be ready to discuss developing a spiritual practice if they're struggling with things that are day to day, if they're not even getting good enough sleep. If you're not getting good enough sleep, then it's very difficult for us to talk about having a creative pursuit. If you don't have enough mental resources from lack of sleep to take care of your day-to-day requirements, you don't have any interest in learning how to paint or play with the hula hoop, right? So they all kind of tie together, but some of them you've got to start with. And usually that's the body. We usually start at the body level. And that's where a lot of clients come to me, is they have something related to the body. And most of the time it's food. But it's really never about the food. It's usually about other things, because food's a very tricky one in our society. It's related to everything. It's related to safety and security. It's related to community. It's related to celebration. It's related to death. It's related to comfort. So it has a lot of ties to a lot of different rituals that we practice in our society, as well as a lot of different emotions.
Wow. So, you triggered something in me just now.
Mm-hmm. Do tell.
And I invite all these thought leaders for free coaching, right, guys? My people know this. I invite the best coaches and healers on this show because I'm so selfish. First of all, I believe in this industry. I'm in it. I understand what coaching can do and the transformations that I've seen in my clients and in others. And so, you triggered something in me when you talked about food. So if you go back and look at all of my social media posts, there's always something about food. Yeah. I had an overweight problem all of my life. I was an overweight child and had a lot of body image issues, and then when as an adult still suffered from a lot of issues with food, overeating, overindulging, binging, and it was, I tied food to emotion, either good or bad.
Yeah.
There was no discernment. It was when I was the happiest and celebrating with my loved ones. There was wine, food, lots of it. I kid with my husband because I say, I have no leptin left in my brain. I have diminished it. I really have. So now I have to be extremely conscious with the intake. And I am very deliberate in serving myself smaller portions. But, you know, I've gone out to eat with many of these beautiful people that are watching right now, and they know I overindulge when I'm in a social setting. And so, yeah, there's a lot buried in there. And I won't ask you to go into a coaching session while everyone's watching this, but you did trigger that. And it's a balance between all four of these pillars, all four of these foundational layers of nourishment. And so body for me has been something I've struggled with all of my life. And I'm now 41 years old, everyone. And I'm still dealing with this. And will I ever stop? I don't know. But I'm working on it. That's the truth.
I know someone who could help.
Yes, I know. Yeah. And that's why you're on. Yes, that's why you are here. So,
well, and to speak to that, and to speak to not necessarily your struggle, but just the struggle in general, you know, if we are not in our best state of wellness, and by that I mean, you know, if you're running around hungry, you can't think well. You know, if you are physically incapacitated in some way, whether it's injury or whether it's overtraining or whether it's lack of sleep, it's really, really hard to call forth your very best self, to bring forth your best creativity, to bring forth your best leadership for whatever role that you're in, whether it's within a business or whether it's within a household or in a relationship. So to me, you know, nourishment, full nourishment leads to great alignment.
Yeah, beautiful. So thank you for that. So I hope you all are taking down notes, everyone. Monica is here. She mentions that lack of sleep is something that she is challenged with. Anne is here. Thank you so much for tuning in, Anne. Yes, so you all please comment below. Let us know what is triggering you, or an insight, perhaps, an insight that you just learned from Laura. She talked about, you know, the four pillars of nourishment, and she talked about the body, the mind, the spirit, and the heart. And so share with us some takeaways, so that we can get into alignment with all of these layers of nourishment.
Sure. So part of what I really enjoy speaking and teaching on, I've started developing some modules, and one of them is called Strong Mind. And we talk about mindfulness, mindset, and meditation, three completely different areas that intersect. And so I would say the first takeaway, or the first tip that I would suggest to people, is if you are looking for a change in any area, and it could be in your household, it could be in your business, the first thing I encourage them to do is bring attention and intention to it. So the AI, the artificial intelligence,
I love that.
And again, you know, we can't resolve something unless we start thinking about it. So again, sometimes that brings up a lot of emotions and tension around that subject. But again, that's where we start, is bringing some awareness and attention to the subject, and then setting an intention of how you desire to be. So if the attention is, I'm eating too much junk food, maybe the intention is, I eat junk food 50% less, or I eat salads 50% more, or maybe there's not a number attached to it, but setting an intention of where you're headed. And then everyone lean in, the magic word that we ask our brains. Yes, because I'm not the expert of all eating. You're the expert of your own body. You've lived in your body your entire time, and you know exactly what it needs. And our minds will deliver amazing solutions if we just get out of the way and listen. So the question you ask after you set an intention is, you ask, how can I accomplish this? How? The H-O-W word is a magical word. So I always think of it like you've put a little in your brain, and you just let it sit there and percolate, and it's going to start looking for solutions for you. How can I accomplish this intention? And you just step back out of the way. It's going to start showing you advertisements for salads. It's going to start, you know, making sure that your favorite fast food restaurant is closed when you go by. It's closed for repair. Your mind's going to resolve that for you. So if you ask how.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. And I loved how you said AI, the attention
Yeah.
intention factor here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bringing awareness to what it is you want to change and then setting the intention. Now, Laura
Mm-hmm.
said you don't necessarily have to put a measurement on that. But
Right.
I'm someone who likes to measure pre and post and baselines and post testing. It's
The scientist you are. Uh-huh.
So I love always to have a percentage or something tied to an intention.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to my example, because I'm being coached, everyone. So I brought attention and awareness to the overeating. And like this afternoon, I'm meeting with a beautiful friend of mine for a little coffee break, and she's watching, and she knows who she is. And I have to be deliberate. I have to be intentional and tell myself, okay, we're going to have a wonderful time together, and I don't have to overindulge over this beautiful meeting that we've scheduled together. I want to focus on her and put the attention on her, and not have to struggle with the resistance to eating or the push and pull that I have with food.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm being intentional in that way.
Yeah, you're looking for heart nourishment there. You're setting an intention that you're going there for the nourishment that you're receiving from a friendship, not necessarily what Starbucks has to have on sale today.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I thank you for bringing that up, the heart,
Mm-hmm.
the heart nourishment.
Mm-hmm.
So yes. So everyone, I hope you leaned in for that big truth bomb that Laura dropped on us. Again, attention, intention, AI,
Mm-hmm.
and then the most important question: how can I move towards this, or how can I achieve?
How can I do this? How can I achieve this?
Yeah.
And then watch what happens. Your mind will start attracting solutions for you. You don't have to struggle or sit down with a notepad. They're going to come to you.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. Excellent. So where do we go from here?
So where we go from here is when those solutions do come to you, they may feel like a flood. They may feel like a lot. It may be like, okay, well, you could do this. You could start with this program or try this diet, or you might start doing Instacart from, Whole Foods, and you might start getting a lot of information. It can feel really overwhelming. So what I encourage people to do when they're starting a new habit, they're trying to develop something new, is take the teeny tiniest step that makes you feel amazing. So instead of trying to, okay, well, I'm going to totally cut out this and I'm going to totally add this and get into extremes, pick out something that seems really, really small, so that when you say, yeah, I can do that, you have 100% confidence, or maybe 90% confidence, and then repeat that tiny step over and over until it becomes part of you. So we just want a little step. We're not going to dive off into the deep end of the pool where we're going to struggle. Yeah. We're going to take a teeny tiny step we're going to walk into the shallow end, and we're going to slowly progress.
Yeah. I love how you incorporate a lot of neuroscience principles in your and I'm so attracted to that, because, as you know, that's something I use in my coaching practice. And I love that you said the tiniest steps to take. To be intentional, to be aware, but also to make you feel confident. And the small wins, right? The brain wants a little bit of the small wins.
Right. We want to kick on that that dopamine. We want some of that adrenaline hit. We want to feel good. When we feel good about what we're doing, it locks it in and it makes us want more. Right?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So again, everyone, we have a
we're trying to sneak around the resistance. That's a whole nother conversation.
We should bring you back on just to talk about that. So far, everyone, Laura is sharing strategies with us, and the first one we talked about is the attention intention, the AI. Bringing awareness to what you want to change and the intention that you're going to tie to that, and always ask yourself, how can I achieve this? She then gave us a way to move towards achieving that intention by setting the teeniest goals, so that we can feel confident as we're progressing through this change. And she shared with us a little bit about the brain and forming new habits in our brain. So where do we go from here then, Laura?
I was also going to say, if you're thinking about that teeny tiny goal, the other thing that we want to do is reps with it. So if I have someone new in the gym and I give them 50 pounds and I ask them to lift it, they might be able to do it once. But if I give them 10 pounds and ask them to lift it, they might be able to do it 10 times because it's smaller. So again, if we choose something small, we want to repeat it so we're getting in those reps. And when we build those reps, it's building that neural loop in our mind, right? It's locking it down and it starts becoming more of a habit for us.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, I love all the brain stuff too. So number 3, and again, this seems very counterintuitive to some of what we've been told, specifically in our culture, and I would say even more specifically to women. So women have a slightly larger frontal lobe, and we're supposed to be amazing at multitasking, which is really great if you have a baby and someone at the door and a dog and a husband and a job. You've got a lot of things to think about. So when you're developing something new, when you're trying to focus on developing a new habit, my encouragement is to unitask. Not multitask, unitask.
Nice.
And so the phrase that I use for myself when I'm working on a new habit is, I want you to practice this habit like your life depends on it. And I don't mean that in a negative way, because every day with every habit, I'm building the life that I want. So when I say that to myself, I'm like, I want to remember this like my life that I'm choosing to build depends on it, because it does. And so when I have a new habit I'm practicing, that's the only thing I'm practicing. I'm not trying to learn how to take vitamins every day and learn how to drink 70 ounces of water and learn how to use MailChimp and learn how to do this, that, and the other. When I'm learning one new thing, I try to devote my time and attention to it. And again, that kind of makes sense. Goes back to that attention thing. We're bringing tons of energy to one thing to really ensure its success. Because when we do try to scatter our energy and develop too many habits simultaneously, one of them is going to win and the rest of them are going to flop. And again, we'll end up feeling not confident and not successful. And sometimes we'll end up giving up the whole mess of them.
Indeed. That's beautiful. Unitask. I love
That's right.
Yeah, and
be a unitasker. Yeah, super focus.
Oh gosh, yeah. Something important you said. Do this, practice it like your life depends on it. I think that was so powerful to hear, everyone. So share with us, guys. Tell us what insights are coming up for you. Tell us what thoughts you have on our conversation today. So Laura has covered 3 strategies on how to find alignment with nourishment and how to nourish your mind, to nourish your body, your spirit, and your heart. And we'll recap these 3 takeaways before we answer some questions. How is that, Laura? Is that okay?
Sounds great.
Good. So again, Laura covered the intention, the AI factor here, where you bring awareness to the challenge and then you put an intention to it, tie an intention to that. There could be a measurement or something to measure your progress or not. But the important question here is to ask, how can I move towards achieving that intention? So the how question is always so important. Her second takeaway is, I can't even read my writing. It's so tiny.
It's because it's teeny tiny. It's the teeny tiny step.
Right, exactly. So yes. So, when the solutions start flooding your mind, because, once you ask that question, how, in that previous step, you're now going to see the signs. Your brain is going to capture these things that you need to make that change happen. And so take the teeniest steps. Don't overwhelm your brain at this point. And repetition is very important right here. So make sure you repeat that task so that you connect those new neural pathways in your brain. And then her third takeaway is to be a unitasker. It's hard to say with not pronouncing it correctly.
I like uni. That sounds fun. You're a unitasker.
Unicycle. I don't know. Unitasker. But do it like your life depends on it. Which was so important. That I just wrote down and I put exclamation point. Did a big circle here. So those are 3 takeaways, everyone. So let's check in with our audience here, Laura. Do you want to? Yeah,
I'd love if there's any questions or if they'd like me to speak to something. I'd be happy to take them.
Yeah, and if you all are watching the replay, we're still looking at your comments. We still love engagement. We love hearts especially. If this information is resonating with you, will you please comment? Laura and I will go back in and make sure that we answer those questions. So Jamie says, not sure if you can help, but here it goes. I lost 100 pounds due to weight loss surgery. I'm struggling with this. My mind, in all caps, my mind has not caught up with the new me. Any advice, Laura, that you have for Jamie?
Oh, all right. So let's get a little wild, shall we? So part of what happens with our mind is it develops a mind map, and it knows every square inch of us. So when you're in the dark and you're trying to scratch your foot under the covers, it knows exactly where to go. It knows how far to reach. It knows exactly where that itch is. It's got you memorized. And so part of what happens with rapid weight loss is we've changed the mind map. We've changed the target of the mind map, but that map is still in your mind. And so there's kind of this disconnect between the two, because our physical container has shrunk, and yet our map says, when I reach for my foot, it should be, 37.2 inches, and it's not, because there's less of us in the way. So part of that is the method that you chose. Nothing wrong with it. No judgment here. So there's going to be a time delay in getting adjusted to your new body, your new way of being. I have a friend who experienced the same thing. She said she would walk past a glass window and a storefront, and she'd see someone and she didn't know who it was. So there's definitely that disconnection. So I would say, as much as you feel comfortable and you are able, continue to do things that are physical, because they are going to send messages up to your brain about where things are in space. So whether that's walking, whether that's stretching or doing yoga, whether that's doing your favorite sport or hobby, continue to move your body, your newfound body, move it more, because we've got to reprogram that mind map that's in our brain. And that's going to help a little bit with that connection. But yeah, it must feel very, very peculiar that the two are out of state. And again, it might even be, if you have some type of spiritual practice in your time when you are alone and quiet in your own mind, even just speaking to your body from your mind and talking to it and saying how much you appreciate it. And it's new. And it feels kind of awkward, or, hey, we're going to get together. We're going to work this out. It sounds a little silly, but every time you're thinking those super positive thoughts about your body, it's sending out chemicals. It's sending out messengers, and all of those messengers are coming back to the brain. So that's helping it be in sync, just as if we were moving it.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Laura. I hope, Jamie, let us know in the comments below there. Let us know your thoughts, or a follow-up to that. We have a comment from Anne. Anne says, I'm here, but so not unitasking. Multitasking and not doing very well at it. I will definitely watch later when I'm not being distracted by work. You ladies are cracking me up with the unitasking. Oh my gosh. Well, my first language was Spanish. I didn't speak English very well until about 7 or 8 years old. So my brain always turns on to Spanish first and foremost. So yeah. So.
And you've got to remember that part of social media's job is to create us to be multitaskers and to be distracted. That's their whole program, is to distract us with the next cool thing, whether it's an ad or what our friend is doing or what someone's commented or a notification. And I have to admit, I have some very particular devices that I go through when I'm sitting down to try to focus myself, where I'm turning things off and I'm kind of getting in my little work cave, if you will, to try to unitask. But to speaking to the habit, the unitasking is not trying to load too many new things that you're learning simultaneously, especially if it is something that you do feel like there might be some resistance to don't try to start training for a marathon and go back to school for your master's and move your whole household into, a new location. And sometimes you can't help those things. Sometimes they come up. But where you're able to choose that you're going to make a change, try not to implement multiple changes simultaneously if you're trying to develop some habits.
Beautiful. Thank you so very much, Laura. Thank you all so much. Let me just do a little quick look here to
make sure that they're all settled and happy.
Yeah, I think they're all very, very happy. And Jamie says, wow, yes, so very helpful. So great.
Good.
Thank
so
you,
glad.
Laura, for answering.
So glad. And I would love to come back and talk about resistance. It's one of my favorite subjects.
I think we should. Let's make some plans to do that very soon.
Super fun.
So Laura, tell us how we can reach you. Where can we find you for more information regarding your services and your programs?
Thank you for asking. So I am online when I'm not unitasking. They can find me at my website, which is www.laurawall.us, LAURAWALL.us. And I speak, I teach, I give workshops, and I'm going to start doing some online classes. So if you go to my website and join my email list, I spend some of my time in one of my favorite places, which is my current hometown of San Angelo. And I spend some of my time in my other favorite hometown, which is Austin. So I'm between the two cities. So if there's something that you're looking for, please feel free to reach out to me and ask, because I'm always looking to develop new offerings in those two places. The other place that I'm located is I'm also on Instagram at laurawall.us. And Denise and I were talking before about preferred platforms. So that's kind of my primary platform. I love it because it's usually photos and beauty and good vibes. It's just got a lot of good stuff there. So they can reach me there.
Good. And please, everyone, go to her website. I will make sure I post a link to it as soon as we get off our live here. But I want to thank you, Laura, for your time today and for sharing your wisdom with us, and for sharing your journey with us on how you found alignment and how you help your clients find alignment. So if you all are watching the replay, will you please give us some love, some hearts, comment below. Laura and I will be reading every comment hereafter. So let us know how we can serve you. And I want to thank you again, Laura, for helping us end season 2 of Align365 on such a beautiful note. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom again with us.
Thank you so much for having me. And I will appreciate all of those sweet little hearts, as you know. Hashtag daily heart is one of the ones I use all of the time.
Yeah. And please follow her on Instagram. You'll see what she means. What she means when she says.
Yes, right now I have if you are on Instagram, I do currently have a giveaway. So if you pop over there, I am giving away a daily heart affirmation card deck that I've created. And I have some other friends that have joined me with some lovely Valentine's Day-ish gifts that are essential oil oriented. And I have a beautiful little wooden box that's from Costa Rica. So lots of prizes that we're giving away there. So check us out on Instagram. Thank you again, Denise. So good to see your beautiful face, and enjoy your heart-nourishing conversation with your friend this afternoon. And I look forward to one with you in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you again. And everyone, have a wonderful and safe weekend. We'll see you all very soon. Bye, everyone.